like our soft screen. And this is also my rehearsal for presentation. So it's just a 10-minute intro. Okay. So thank you everyone for coming. I'm going to stand back so you can see. My name is Victoria Marshall. I'm a senior lecturer here at the Department of Architecture and director of the MLA program. And I'll be giving a brief introduction here before we enact the media event. This is a filmmaker, Carlos Gomez, and together we are the producers of This Will Be Something, Cinematic Cartographies of the Post-Rural. So I'm going to share about my research on multifaceted changes in Periurban Kolkata. In particular, I'll look at the definition of the term post-rural, and why I decided to turn my research into a film. The media event will then be enacted live for about 30 minutes. Then Carlos will share what we term the project architecture and our thoughts on what we also term generative participation, and you're all part of that. And then we'll open it for discussion for your questions. So in 2024, I published my research, which is an outcome of my mid-career PhD in geography that I did here across the street in the US. Periurban Cartographies is an urban political ecology of a particular form of urbanism that is coming to being on the outer southwest of Kolkata, India. So normative thinking considers the outer southwest of Kolkata as an urban edge, or peri-urban, and as such, not much more than becoming urban. However, I think anew about such assumptions and point towards a larger collective and comparative project of learning from multifaceted kinds of urban, especially those from the global south that are off the map of the widely circulating ideas about what is a good urban. So here's a map of the Kolkata metropolitan area showing the Hooghly River in black and its municipalities. The older municipalities are in light pink and the newer ones are in brown, with the founding dates shown in the yellow font. So my study area is here. It is a 1 kilometer square kind of urban area. So it is important to note that this is not a harmonious dreamland where nature and society coexist in urban-rural symbiosis. It is uneven, polluted, and unjust. So this image shows the last farm in the study area. Its location can be seen here with the pink symbol on the right. In this area, they no longer grow paddy. In this last farm, they no longer grow paddy and only grow vegetables for the local market. As the film will show, when paddy cultivation stops across a locality like this, the infrastructural legacies of the settled rural, like ponds, plantations and home gardens, micro-topographies created from local landshaping, and modest multi-family homes do not just disappear, they persist. This post-rural landscape is not passive. As Matthew Gandhi notes, it becomes ruins and refugia. It also uniquely receives the urban, as noted by Stephen Cairns. So to render this dynamic in my research, I used a set of methods that built on my training in design, and I linked it with critical mapping practices from geography. I visualized and narrated how the locality will be something, but it may not be what is expected for those who view it only as empty space for the future urban. I then wanted to advance the project. I wanted my drawings to move and to express the sensory experiences of the periurban that are hard to put into words. I also wanted to invent a participatory method so I could make more of an impact on the ground. And I wanted to empower my students to become periurban designers. And that's why you're here. For I believe that these kinds of urban areas hold important questions for the spatial design fields of landscape architecture and urban design. And for these reasons, I decided to collaborate with a filmmaker. I met Carlos last year, and we're excited to share our 11 months of work to date here with you. So to connect with participants, we enacted local screenings in December last year in Kolkata. We followed up with in-depth interviews in February, and we visited the locality during the monsoon in June. All of this fieldwork was facilitated by our excellent Bengali research assistants, Tipanwita Mana and Ankit Bagchi. And so overall, this project has been supported by a Singapore Ministry of Education grant entitled Enacting Periurban Practice. And so this is what we're all doing this evening. And just some words from Carlos, who is here holding a light.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you know what to say.
I want to say thank you to Victoria for inviting me to be here. I'm so excited to share the work we've been doing with all of you. Thank you for coming. As Victoria said, my name is Carlos, it says here. I'm happy to be here. And I guess the main thing about this project, I come from a participatory documentary background, working with communities to use film to tell their stories, right? Instead of going to a place and me trying to just have my own take on it, I try to develop ways to talk with people and to engage them so that they feel it's kind of their project, and let them take over and let them use film to say something that they feel other people should know about their lives or their communities. So in this case, we tried to do the same. That's why we did the screenings, and we are in the process of getting to know people in that locality. But what's really different about this project is that what we wanted from the beginning was to do something more in the space of video art installation than straight documentary. And so that's how I ended up exploring this kind of new software, new technologies that are available that allow some kind of more live presentation of audiovisual. And so what we're going to see today is not a film that plays from beginning to end always, but it's being performed live, and it's going to be different every time it's watched, every time it's played. So I'll explain more about how it works after you've seen it. I don't want to talk too much about it, but if there are any, and this is a beta, this is the first time we show it to the public, and so you can think of it as a beta version. If there are any glitches, I apologize in advance as a disclaimer, and I hope you enjoy it.
And I also just want one more thing to note, that this multimedia event is in the middle of the work done today. So we have the book, like I mentioned, a design studio on the left here, and some loose thoughts for a later student film festival and a participatory practice related to poems in the study area. Yes?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right.
ওই জায়গা ভাই বোনের মানে ভাই আর বোনেদের জায়গা। এবার আমরা নিয়েছি সেখানে, আমি যখন ঘর করতে গেছি তখন বোনরা আমাদেরকে করতে দেয়নি। ওরা বলে যে মা বাবার সম্পত্তি, ভাই বোনের অধিকার আছে। তো সেই ভাই বোনের যদি অধিকার থাকে তাহলে ভাইরা কিনছে, টাকা নিচ্ছে, বোনদের দিচ্ছে না। এবার ফেসে গেছি আমরা ঘর করতে গেছি, আমাদেরকে করতে দিচ্ছে না, বলে করতে দেবো না যতদিন না আমরা এই জায়গার টাকা পাবো। তা আমরা সেখানে তো আমরা দোষী না, ওর ভাই ওকে টাকা দিচ্ছে না, তো আমরা দোষী হয়ে গেছি। সেই হিসেবে ওরকম করে ফেসে গেছিলাম। তখন আমরা অনেক বছর ভাড়া ঘরে থাকলাম, আর ভাড়া গোনা সম্ভব হচ্ছিল না। তা আমরা বললাম যে আপনি তাহলে আমাদেরকে এর ধরুন একটা জায়গা দিন। ওখানে যখন আমরা ঘর করতে পারছি না, আর আমরা ভাড়া কতদিন বলবো, আমরা পাচ্ছি না, ভাড়া প্রচুর, মানে 2-2.5 হাজার টাকা ভাড়া। যদি 2-2.5 হাজার টাকা ভাড়া দেবো তো খাবো কি আর বাচ্চাকে কী দেখবো? তা আপনি তাহলে আমাকে একটা অন্য জায়গা দিন। তখন এই জায়গাটা আমাদের দিয়েছে, ওই হ্যাঁ ওই জমির বদলে এটা দিয়েছে। তা এটা ওর থেকে বেশি দাম, তো এটাও ওই কিছু কিছু পয়সা মাসে মাসে দিয়ে নেওয়া।
এমন অবস্থা করেছিল, যাদের ভাগ আছে, আমার জোর নেই গো মা, আমি বলি আমাকে আরো বলে যাচ্ছে, ঘরে জল ঢুকে যায় পয়সা খাইলে, এখনই কানা কান্নায় ডুবে যাচ্ছে। আর চণ্ডীঘাটে জল আসতে যে ড্রেন করেনি, সব ড্রেনের জল সব বার করতে এখানে কি অবস্থায় আছি দেখে যাবে, ওই ওখানটাই গেলে দেখতে পাবে জল। যদি তক্তপোষ থাকে তক্তপোষ বসে থাকবো, না বাঁশের চালি ফালি আছে বসে থাকি, দেখতে পারি। আচ্ছা ওই পৌরসভায় থেকে এই চাল গম দেয়, এই খিচড়ি করে দিলে একটু খেলু, দোকানে পৌঁছে দিয়ে যাওয়ার উপায় নেই। বন্যা হলে আর ওই যখন ভাবে থাকা হয়, এগুলোতে উঠে জলা জমি, এই ডাঙা জমি মানুষ সব কোথা দিতে, ওই তো সব কোথা দিতে তো আছে আমার, আমি গরিব মানুষ এইসব করতে পারি। আমাদের স্বামীরাও ভালো ছিল না, পড়েনি।
আমার ঠাকুরদারও 3 ভাই, 3টে ঠাকুরদার 3টে আমার, একার না। ওই ঠাকুরদার একটা, এই ঠাকুরদার একটা, ওই ঠাকুরদার একটা, এইরকম যেন ভাই ভাই হয়, যেরকম 3 ভাই 4 ভাই এরকম ঠাকুরদার। পরিবেশটা বদলানো বলতে এখন তো, তখন তো দেখেছি একরকম, এখন আস্তে আস্তে যত দিন যাচ্ছে তত বদলে যাচ্ছে। এখন আশপাশে শত বিহারি মারি সবাই আসছে, এসে সেই জায়গাটাকে পরিষ্কার পরিচ্ছন্ন সব পৌরসভা এখন হাতে পড়েছে, তারা সেই সব এই পার্ক করে দিয়েছে, করেছে এইসব। কোনো ঘর বাড়ি খুব কমই ছিল তখন। চাষবাস হতো, সব চাষবাস বন্ধ হয়ে গেছে, এই ব্যাপার। এখন তো পুরোটাই চলছে সব, তো জমি জমা তো পুরোটাই দিয়ে দিচ্ছে, চাষ বন্ধ। সেগুলো তো খারাপ। রাস্তার সামনে জমি কেউ নিজস্ব জমি কেউ বিক্রি করে, আমরা স্থায়ী বাসিন্দা পুরোপুরুষ তারা বিক্রি করে না, আমরা বিক্রি করে দেবো, এটা সম্ভব?
বেশি বেরোয়, তা বেঁচি তো আছে, ইঁদুর বেঁচি হয়তো সবসময় ঘুরে বেড়াচ্ছে। তা সাপটা যখন বর্ষাকাল হয়, ওরা তো থাকার জায়গা নেই, চারিদিকে ঘুরে বেড়ায়, বন্যা হলে সবই ঘুরে বেড়ায়। নাহলে এমনি সময় তুমি খুব একটা দেখতে পাবে না, কিন্তু জল উঠে গেলে দেখতেই পাবে। এখানে তো বৃহত্তই সাপ আছে সব জায়গায়। ওই যে খাটালের ওদিকে গিয়েছিল, ওদিকে তো আছেই। এবার ওই তখন যদি ওরা এদিকে চলে আসে, তখন কেউ যদি দেখতে পায় দিদিভাই মেরে দেয়। বিষাক্ত সাপ তো রাখা তো উচিত না, মেরে দেয়। আমরা তো মারি না, যা ব্যাটাছে ছেলেরা মারে, আমরা মেয়ে ছেলেরা মারে না। আমরা তো হয়তো দেখতে পেলাম ছেলেরা যারা আসে তারা মারে দেয়। বিষাক্ত সাপ হলে তো মেরে দিই দিদিভাই, আমরা স্বামী মারে, আরও আছে বাড়িতে ভাসুর, এরা মারে, আমরা মেয়ে ছেলেরা মারি না। বিয়ে হয়েছে 24 বছর, আমি চিনতে পারছি ওনাদের মানে জন্মগত, মানে আমার শ্বশুর যারা ছিল তাদের জন্মগত এটা। তখন অত প্রথম প্রথম একটু লাগতো, যেমন ওখানে রোডের গায়ে বাড়িটা ছিল, আর তখন আমরা প্রথম যখন এসেছি তখন একটু ভেতরে, তখন তো একটু খারাপ লাগতো। আস্তে আস্তে সারাদিন তো ভালো লাগতো, সন্ধ্যেবেলা তো চুপচাপ থাকতো, অতটা লাগতো না। আমাদের যেমন নিজ মানে পরিবেশটা হইচই এইসবের মধ্যে থাকতাম আমরা। হ্যাঁ, তারপর আস্তে আস্তে চেঞ্জ হয়ে গেছে, এখন অসুবিধা মানে প্রথম প্রথম একটু আসা তো একটু এক জায়গা থেকে এক জায়গায় এলে সব মানুষেরই যেমন হয় সেরকম। খুব একটা যে খারাপ লাগতো না, সারাদিনটা ভালো লাগতো, সবাই হইচই করতাম করতাম, আর সন্ধ্যা হলে তো একটু যে যার ঘরে থাকতো, এইটাই, নাহলে অন্য কিছু ছিল না, অন্য কিছু খারাপ লাগতো না। গরমকালে তো ফ্যান চললে কোনো আওয়াজের হয় না, আর শীতকালে তো তোমার নিঃশব্দতা এমনি তো হয়, এইসবে বাইরের একটু টুকটাক আওয়াজেই তো তোমার বেশিটা হয়। এমনি গরমে তো ফ্যান চলে তুমি শহরেও তোমার ফ্যান চললে তো তুমি সেই আওয়াজটা পাবে না, এখানেও সেই একই।
Ended before it's supposed to end because of technical differences, but we got 90%.
I kind of like how, like you were explaining later on, how everything wasn't like a linear format. It was, I guess, like felt like catching glimpses of Periurban life in through the form of anecdote, through the form of context, or through the form of like really perspectives of daily of how people navigate schools and how the environment is with all the monsoon mentioned. And I actually really like the environment in I feel it's such a waste that the DOA one is going to be indoor. Because it's really nice. Like you see this kind of like, you know, like a peri-urban context is very different from urban context where everything feels very more rigid. So having it in the garden really blends in with what is being shown. And you create a very good mood. Like there are bats, there are like trees falling, and then the mosquito coil smell, and then like you see the smoke from the mosquito coil. So I just enjoyed the whole atmosphere, and I was happy to from that I noticed some of the things you guys have mentioned, like how like I could notice the time of the day going. Yeah. And like even though you say the sound was bad, but I really like how like somehow I thought the arty machine were very like jarring, but somehow with the voices, the white noise, and also with the music, it's like nice. Yeah, and I enjoyed it. Okay, I guess I think at first is because you guys said that the okay, so the theme was something like multiple narratives, right? But when you watch the film, you kind of build your own narrative of the place, right? So for example, when we started with the story of the snake, that was what we saw on the screen. But because this is all our first time having this kind of participatory film. So we automatically, or at least I automatically try to link the story of the snake and monsoon to the film, which is the lady on the roof that was trying to do some. So maybe you were thinking in your head, or there's some relationship between like the woman, or like how she's doing laundry. Yeah, so some kind of you try to make your own connection about maybe the women is usually at home, and then they do the housework and everything, and then they encounter snakes, and somehow you build a narrative that maybe like at some point they were doing laundry and then they saw a snake during monsoon or something like that happened. So it's also the multiple narratives that has been overlapping through all the different films, but also you build your own narratives in your head about the space, and as the film progresses, you have you slowly build up your own story of how you imagine this periurban place would be like. And then this is what happens in the, like, how do I say, so this is what happens when you build up in your head, but then when you try to think, like when something happens, then somehow all those narratives, it becomes kind of like, it feels like this narrative, like this story, yeah. And everyone has a different story, and I really like when you talk about the different films that you have across the different time, the close-up shots, which I think is valuable, because when you look at periurban, it's not just space like for the perspective, your perspective. I appreciate the zoom in perspectives and like the ground perspective from the water level. I thought that was very interesting.
Anyone else like to share?
Maybe you want to explain one of these.
Sure.
I guess I can share and respond like that.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this whole intentional context and film and reacting, and I think for me, for first time watching a participatory documentary and almost live site performance, and I was like, is he DJing a film or like? And then I was like, also like, you know, because I saw that you were looking at us, looking at environment and film, and you were matching things. I was like, what are the different layers? So when you explained it, I was like, oh wow. This is, and then how you added on and said it was meant to be an iterative cycle, actually what you mentioned, I was like, wow, actually that's so true. You know, as we look and respond and form our own social connections, and almost like he's building this palette for us to respond to, and then it comes in, and then it's like recontextualizing, and then I mean I would never go to and see Kolkata. I would never experience what they understand, which is periurban, or maybe we face some similar issues of like flooding, but I think how it erodes into their spaces, how the emotions, even the emotions is like a skill. I found that really, really interesting, and I think this for me actually, okay, maybe I don't know, I'm very close to it, but every time it played, I felt like I was like pounded into the reality of the film.
Into the reality of the film?
Into the reality of the film.
Yeah.
And,
you came inside.
Yeah, I felt like I came into the film a bit more, into the a little bit like the chaos of it. You know, like it's like when I'm crossing the streets in Vietnam, you just never know. You know, and I think because it kind of matched at that point of that kind of whether it's a transition or something's coming, or I'm actually like looking in the up and the car's coming this way, you know, that kind of thing. So I was just like, and of course the side. So I'm like, you mean there's gonna be one that's indoors? That's removing like 5 layers already, you know, watching the film. Yeah, I found that. Yeah, I felt like I really gained a lot just watching and hearing and your explanation of the film. And I really appreciate your attempt at just being, in a way, right, it's removing the human, the observer, but also observing and reacting and encouraging and bringing it to people to be in that context, and to also observe but not be in that you know that whole, what we talked about today, which is the co-fabricating, right? Yeah, so I really appreciate, I'm just like, wow, how do I do this next time? Like, what is that machine like? So yeah, thank you very much for just bringing the research and what we see there to this extent. Yeah, thank you so much.
But I think that's also not a bad thing necessarily. It's like a good reminder that you're watching it as an outsider, that you will never truly understand the context of what's going on in the roots of Periurban. But also what was mentioned before was really interesting to me, because it made me think about how potentially our site visits and how we treat studio and like field work is essentially creating a narrative out of like distorted stories, which is what we did for our first studio work, probably will continue to do for other studio works. But it was a nice reminder that we will still always be outsiders till we do like the groundwork, and all connections that we make will be like on some level as an outsider. But I was curious about why you chose the Aarti machine as a distorter. If you
Because
could.
when we first went there, the first thing we did was we organized these outdoor screenings to get people to come out and then tell them we want to make a film and we want to do this. And first we spent a lot of time asking where we can do it, and we finally found a very nice plaza, like an open place.
Like where
And we set
kids
up
play
the
cricket and then hanging
park, and
out.
then people started gathering, and we were so happy. And we started the film. And like 5 minutes into it, a huge Aarti machine went bah, 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 bah. And we, of course, we were right next to the shrine, the temple, and we had to wait for like 15, 20 minutes for the puja to end before we could watch. And by the way, I forgot to mention and give special space to Ankit and Deep,
Yeah.
who were with us doing
Yes.
all the shooting and
Yes.
interviewing and getting into the water and talking to people and everything. And they made it here today, this morning, for this.
So this is made. This is a religious.
Normally
Maybe
you
they
have
can
some,
explain. Maybe you guys can
yeah,
explain
some
what is the
real
Aarti machine.
people
Actually,
with a drum.
in puja,
They play it right. Is it?
in puja, in festival, like
Yeah.
Durga Puja,
Yeah.
Durga Puja festival, usually we call them dhaki. The dhak, kashor, ghanta. So both make this kind of sound.
Right. Right.
And it is artificial, but that is man-made.
Okay. Right. Okay.
So yeah.
So like usually they would play it, like a human would play.
Yeah.
In some festivals, but it's very common in the shrines, in the
To have
neighborhoods.
this,
Yes,
but
yes.
They
this
have
kind
that
of
in,
machine.
so they just, some woman, person comes in and they turn it on, and people come out and they do the puja, and then it's on for, like I said, 15 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, it's just instead of having the live musicians.
Instead of having
Yeah.
Wow!
Yes.
I was like, what? This is
and
so
the
cool.
conch, right? There's a conch blowing, and that's built into this one too. This one has a conch sound.
Actually, I want to say something like this. Like all of these things are different, like music altogether. Like this is drum, and this is all of these things are separate. But these days, people have to save time, you know. Like so, they have made us some kind of a equipment which has all of these things. But everything is different. Like it is played in a very live way in the previous days, and that is basically amazing. It doesn't have that much of sense, but it is some way carrying some kinds of ritualistic practices of the olden days actually.
And also, like for me, it was interesting to use that next to that because I see this is kind of an ancestor of something like the Ableton and Push and the synthesizer. It's an early drum machine.
So you can actually toggle each arm to a different rhythm.
Yeah, we can turn it on.
Not really, no. It's,
Or is it like you press one
yeah,
and
you
it
just
hits?
press a button.
Oh,
You can
okay.
adjust the speed.
I thought you were like DJing this.
No. But I'm just saying, like that's a very complex version of this.
Artist switch,
But that's how we came up. When that happened, we said, oh, maybe when we do the performance, we should have one of those things.
hiding behind.
It was damn funny.
Yeah, so there's one knob there. Plays the conch, but it's like randomized, so I can't trigger it. It has its own rhythm. Then this other knob, is it on?
Maybe he had to play from his DJ. So I don't know how to like hook.
Yeah, you just switched it on. Try it.
Oh, this is it.
Yeah, it should be.
It's a LED.
Okay.
That's okay, just put it on the floor maybe.
Wait, you can do the stage.
Wait, the
drones. In Malaysia, I never, I saw people use the machine, but without the punch. People have their own punch. More than the other.